Hi all. Now we are going to see how to visualize a plot in Matplot library or using Python. The best visualization can be achieved using Matplot library or PyPlot. The syntax is matplotlib.pyplot, which is going to help us to showcase or visualize the statistical data or all the graphical representation of the collected data. So we'll see how most of the Matplot library utilizes the PyPlot submodule. It is actually import matplot library.pyplot as PLT. There is an example for this. You can check here. First we import the library matplotlib.pyplot as PLT, and since we are going to create an array for the data to be visualized, we are importing numpy as np, and here the x points and y points are given. Corresponding values for the x points and y points are given. So np.array is 0, 6, which means we have a value at 0 in the x-axis and another value in the 6 in the x-axis. Corresponding value lies in 0 in the y-axis. For x-axis 0, the y-axis is also 0, whereas for the x-axis value 6, the y-axis value is 250, and so it is just joining these two lines. So the instruction is, or the command is, plt.plot x points and y points, or we just, if you give x or y, it is going to be x comma y, and at last we have to give it as plt.show plot to be shown. So based on the values you give, the visualization is done. So this is about subplots. So subplot is actually creating or helping us to see two or more plots in one single graph or a figure. How to separate it is just done by this way. We use this arguments. First is we'll have three values in the syntax, or the argument will be having a number of rows, number of columns, and the third one will be the index value, the placement where it is supposed to be. So we'll have three arguments. First is n rows, means number of rows, and the number of columns, and the last one represents the index. Let us see an example for that. So here plt.subplot is going to, whatever we give after plt is going to represent what type of plot we are going to plot. So this is the subplot that we are going to create, and for which we are representing, or we are giving, passing in command that I need only one row with two columns, and it has to be placed in the first place. So the figure will be in the first row, second column, and which will be the first plot. We'll see that in the few examples. And this is also used to have, whether you have in the you want to be represented in a 1D array or 2D array, that can also be represented using the subplot or the multiple subplot concept. For that I'll showcase with an example here. See, this is actually, I have two graphs, one in place 1 and the other one in the place 2, but we have only one row, whereas we have two columns. So we are first importing the matplot library.pyplot as plt, because we are just plotting the graph. And since we create an array, we need import numpy as np. This is done. Now we are going to create the array. So an array has to be created for the first plot as well as for the second plot. The plot one, we create what are the points, x points and y points. So it is 0, 1, 2 and 3. Corresponding values are 3, 8, 1 and 10. So it is going up and down and going up. And right now I want this plot to be in the first row, second column. Because I need two columns, I write it as row 1 and number of columns to be 2, and the placement of this graph should be as the first one, so I put it as 1 here. Likewise, I create another array where I have only one row, two columns, but this graph, or this plot, this is placed in the second index or the second place. So here it is given as 2. If in case I put it as 2 and 1 here, this will be interchanged. That's it. So it is how I'm representing, how I want it to be represented. Accordingly, I'll give the number. That's it. And so we put it as plt.plot x comma y, the values, and at last plt.show. So this is for 1D array of subplots. In the earlier example, we have seen 2 columns. Now we are seeing 2 graphs or 2 plots, but it is just placed up and down. It was just adjacent in the previous case. Now here you can see the only arrangement that has been changed here is number of rows, number of columns, and the place. See, the number of rows is 2 and number of columns is 1, and also here, whereas in the earlier case it was 1, 2. But the place value is same. If I want this to be in the first place, then I'm going to put it as 1. If I want it to be in the second place, then I'll put it as 2. But here, this is just representing the number of rows and columns. It is just, in either way, it is going to be called as the 1D array of subplots. I'm just putting 2 different plots or subplots in 1D, one-dimensional way. Now, this is another example representing the subplots with 2D array. So here, I'm just creating the array, but see, I'm just representing a 2D, two-dimensional, 2 cross 3. Okay, means I have 2 rows, 3 columns. Wherever I see, it will have 2 comma 3 representing 2 rows, 3 columns. So this is the first set and this is the second set. So first I'll have this part. So in the second row, 2 rows, 3 columns, I put it as 1, 2 and 3, and this as 4, 5 and 6, representing that I want it to be placed like this. So this is the 2D array of subplots. But these are the values. Generally, the same instructions, we put it as matplotlib.pyplot as plt, import numpy as np. Whatever values or the graph representation I need, I give the x and y values. I create an array and I put this plt.subplot and I plot the x and y. These are the same commands that we follow for all the examples. At last, we'll put it as plt.show. Okay, so it is just the placement. The numbers will be changed accordingly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And here this is another example representing the multiple plots. We have seen in the previous cases only representing the plots, line plots or plots, that's the plots. Here we have different plots or different types of graphical representation, or the plots are combined and represented in the same graph. So here first one is a plot, then is a second one is the scatter plot, third one is a bar chart, and the last one is a histogram. So all are different, but it is represented as a single plot or a multiple plot representation. So same, import matplotlib.pyplot as plt. Now we are going to create the 2 cross 2 grid because it is 2 cross 2, 2 rows, 2 columns, subplots. So figure comma axis equal to plot.subplots 2 comma 2 is given, and the axis is, here we represent in the other way. Here axis is 0 comma 0. The first one, axis 0 comma 0, is going to have the plot, and 0 comma 1 will have the second scatter plot, and 1 comma 0 will have the bar chart, and 1 comma 1 will have the histogram. So corresponding values are given here, and the type of plot is given as plot, scatter, whatever way you want. Accordingly, the placement value is given here, the type of plot is given here, and the values is correspondingly given. At last, we'll put it as plot.show. So thank you.